إخوتي ماذا نقول أم حزننا جلب البكاء.
Democracy doesn't work. Democracy is hypocrisy. You know, this is a slogan we have. Democracy is a system aimed to control the people and doctrine the people in the way that they want them controlled and doctrined. They want you to be their puppets. They are the puppet master, you are the puppets. They want you to be their product. You pay the taxes, you line their pockets, you make them rich, and then what? Mankind sit there in their high chairs, stealing money from the taxpayer. You know, let's go to another example, yeah? We have children that are living with mothers on crack. We have children that are supposed to be looked after by people who take these people from the mothers of crack and put them in a better place, and then the children are furthermore getting abused in the hands of carers which work for the law of this country. And what kind of democracy is that? You know why they get away with this? Because there is no Shariah law in place. There is no law of God which humiliates these sins, which punishes these sins, which lets people know that this is wrong. Crime actually goes up every year. The rates of rape go up every year. The rates of paedophilia go up every year. You know, there's actually groups of people trying to legalize paedophilia within certain countries known as the Boys and Men Club. They're situated in America. And so you have to understand that the law of man does not work. That way sounds a bit harsh, but if I asked you what would the punishment be for someone who was a paedophile? If someone had hold of your child, what would you do? Or how would you feel they should be dealt with? If someone raped your daughter or your sister or your mother, how do you think that they should be dealt with? You know, I think we can all pretty much come to the same answer. Without capital punishment, without people realizing the severity of the badness that they've done, without an example of someone to be made of when it does happen, no one can actually realize where the bad and the good lies. Someone could be living their life and think they're doing good, but in essence they're doing bad. And Allah knows best what mankind do not. Allah knows what's good, what mankind does not, and Allah knows what's bad, what mankind does not. So that some mankind will think prostitution is good for them, but it's not, it's bad. It's clear cut, it's bad. You know, some mankind will say you can drink, it's good for you, but it's clear cut, it's bad, because a third of the casualties if not half of the casualties on a Friday and a Saturday night is because of alcohol. So not only does the alcohol cause the problem, but then it causes everybody, you, the taxpayer, more money to fix this problem of something that is made a problem by the people who are charging you the money to fix the problem. The point being is that mankind does not know best for mankind. Mankind will never know what's best for mankind. Mankind will think they know what's best for mankind, and mankind will always try to implement their law to try to suit their way of life. Before you know it, paedophilia may even be allowed in this land. Yeah, the jail sentence of a paedophile is what, 12 months now, do 6, come out early on half, and then he comes out and does the same crime again to somebody else's child. You know, the sentence of a rapist, I've been in prison, I've seen rapists and I've seen them get less than 3 years. Yeah, come out in a year and a half and they're back to do the same crime again, because these sort of crimes, they're not something that can be controlled by man. Like I say, Allah knows best, and Allah knows the best law and the best reward and the best punishment for anything. Being that Allah is the legislator, Allah does own the earth, and Allah does know what's best for man. And if we refuse to accept the law of Allah, and we refuse to accept that Allah is the creator, and refuse to accept that Allah knows best for us when we do not know what's best for ourselves, then we're not going to better our lives. We're going to be waging war against the creator, and subhanallah, it's a horrible thought to be waging war against the creator. Anyone that opposes the law of the creator, when we are the creation. Who is creation to rule creation? Shouldn't the creator rule the creation? The same way that you wouldn't let somebody else rule your daughter. You wouldn't let somebody else rule your son. You are the mother of your son, you are the father of your son, you're the mother of your daughter, you're the father of your daughter, and only you have the right to place the rule in your house. Back to Allah again, only Allah has the right to place the rule on his earth, and anybody who takes this attribute of Allah will face the hellfire. And I am talking about David Cameron, I am talking about Nick Clegg, and I am talking about many of your other MPs and politicians that think they know best for mankind, when all they are doing is is causing disrupt within the nation. They actually make rules to go to war. Look at Tony Blair, for instance, on the media recently. He justified in his autobiography going into Iraq and killing many innocent Muslims for no reason. Many of the people of this land, including the non-Muslims, are actually causing uproar against this. Why? Because 2 million of the people of this land oppose the war. 2 million. Now, this is the hypocrisy in the democracy. They say we listen to the people, but when the people spoke up against not going to war in Iraq and Afghanistan, they didn't listen. They don't care about the people. All they care is how much tax you pay to fill their pockets. Back to the news again, a few months ago, about half a year ago, when politicians were caught stealing money from the funds to live their lavish lifestyles, of the money you are paying, taxpayers, what they are paying. Yeah, so I have to understand that the politicians, MPs, this democracy does not know what's best for mankind. And if they did, they certainly don't listen to mankind. They say they're listening to you, they get your votes in, then when they get your votes in, they do what they want. You know, so anyone can see that the democracy of this land is a farce, and Allah, but I believe it won't be long again before some sort of things break out like the Brixton riots, inshallah. If anybody is old enough to remember that, I'm not old enough to remember that, but I know of it from people who are old enough to remember it, and it wasn't something that was a laughing matter. It also happened about a time of a credit crunch as well, so which is also after another time that Britain have gone into another land and invaded another land, as per usual. You know, so you have to look at your democracy and ask, is it really working for yourself? Yeah, you can say, some people have misconceptions about Islam, that it's all chopping off hands and oppression of women. How many one-handed people you see walking around Muslim countries? I've yet to see one come forward and say, I've only got one hand. Because the law of Allah works. When people know that these punishments are in place, then people are less likely to do the crime. It's as simple as that. But when you've got a soft law like democracy, a law that is made by man to suit man, that says, if you steal another man's property, you get a fine. And then you don't pay the fine, your band's caught anyway. This democracy doesn't work. It's clear cut. It's got to the point in this country that if someone breaks into your house, you're committing a crime by hurting the person that broke into your house. When they could have been breaking into your house to hurt you. What kind of democracy is that? I would like to live under land where I know that if someone breaks in my house, mate, and causes affliction to my home and family, that I have the right to defend my home, I have the right to fight for my home, and I have the right to fight anyone who wants to come in my home and fight me for my home. And I think everybody is under that same belief. And we're forgetting what it is in society to be a man and be a woman. Nowadays I see more women men and more men women. The men are going to the salons, you know, getting themselves waxed, you know. The men they're doing everything in the role of a woman. We've now got men who stay at home and look after the child while the woman goes to work and puts herself in a situation. Let's go to statistics again. Did you know 90% of affairs take place in the workplace? 90%. We're not saying women can't work, but is it suitable for women to be working around man and man to be working around women? No, it isn't. It's clear cut. 90% of affairs take place in the workplace. So we'll go back to the example again. The democracy, where women are oppressed for sure. They're treated like sex symbols. They're told to uncover, get your nails done, put all your makeup on, pluck your eyebrows, get your hair dyed, get a suntan. Put it all on display for man to see, but did you know you're putting it on display for them rapists? I don't know statistics for how many rapists are out there, but do you see on the news a Muslim woman coming forward and saying she's been raped by some man in the street? No. Why? Because she doesn't put her flesh on display for man's eyes to feast on. So who are the oppressed? The Muslim women, who is liberated, I can tell you that for certain, or the non-Muslim women who think she's liberated because of the way the democracy has got her thinking, but really she is oppressed. Live by the law of man, which doesn't benefit women, which lets women be a sex symbol, that lets women get raped and then doesn't do justice to the women. Let's go back to the root evil. The root evil is the alcohol. The alcohol causes women to get drunk and makes themselves vulnerable when they're travelling home over night time. The alcohol causes the man to get drunk and give his woman domestic violence. The alcohol causes one night stands as where children are born and then having to be aborted. 185,000 abortions in England and Wales alone in 1 year. The alcohol costs taxpayers money because these alcoholics, they're drinking all night and then ending up in hospital. And they already do a crime like that. Why? Because of all your programs you put on TV, because of all the laws where you let these people get away with things, the glorification of rappers, half of the rap, it talks about crime anyway, and they allow it to be sold in the shops at £10, £13 an album, don't know how much it is now, maybe £15 an album. They sell this in the shops, and then they watch the youth listen to it, and then they wonder why the youth are going like this. The freedom of speech, the freedom of living. Come to Britain and you'll be free. But little did you know, there's people who come to Britain that want to live here for 5 years to earn money so they can go back to their poor country and live. But they forget how expensive it is to live here. They forget how much tax you're going to have to pay when you live here. They forget how much money that is deducted from your money. 20% is deducted from your money before you even get paid. Nino, you see Nino. National insurance. It's deducted from your money. Tax is deducted from your money. Yeah, 20% is your tax, then you have your insurance as well to work. Depending on how much you earn, depending on how much you pay. But this is how much is deducted before you even get your money. Now, if we go to Shariah state, food, clothing, shelter is obliged to be given to you under Shariah state. No longer would you be in poverty. The poor man will not be poor and the rich man keep getting richer and richer while the poor man are living in the gutter. Everyone will be eating, everyone will be living healthy, and everyone will be living comfortably. And this goes to the contrast of how much money you would actually pay out of your money in Islam to the contrast of how much money you pay in the democracy. In the democracy, like I say, 20% of your wages is taken before you're even paid. And then furthermore, a little bit more on top of that for your national insurance contributions. 2.5% zakat is to be paid. And you pay that yourself. And if you don't pay that, then you're accounted to Allah. But 2.5% zakat will be paid. Money to the poor. Money who need it. Think of that. 20% or 2.5%? What's better? Democracy or Sharia? 20% of taxes to pay for things where you don't know where your money's going, or 2.5% where you know exactly where your money's going? To the poor people who need it. We don't pay 20% tax and not knowing where our money's going. What, for the tax man to take it for sitting in the office making laws here that don't even work for the land? Subhanallah. They're charging 20, just imagine this, 100 people earn £100 and they charge 20% of that, that's £20 from £100. And then that's times another 100. We're talking 20 grand, and that's just on a ridiculous, now this is happening all over the country on much bigger scale. People earn around about $250 minimum, up to a grand a week, maybe a grand and a half a week in some jobs. You know, 20% of that constantly off every single person in the country. It's extortionate, you know. So obviously on the basis of Sharia, I'm 100% completely in the favour of Sharia. I see the benefits of Sharia, whereas I see the non-benefit of democracy. And inshallah, I hope that the people of Britain will wake up to this and realise that democracy doesn't work for them either. Sharia is the only law known to be beneficial to mankind. Sharia is the only way of life that is successful, and total submission to Allah and acceptance of Allah and His legislation will benefit this land.